Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good lunch, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to BSC News Live. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. You might notice something different about today. Obviously, I'm here, Tom, and then Ben looks a little bit different. So today, every Wednesday, we're going to have Kyle with us. And Kyle is the Director of Content at BSC News. I think that's correct. Is it, Kyle? Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, I realized I probably should have added a little nomenclature or like title after my name there. Yeah, it's Kyle, Director of Content at BSC News. I basically run the editorial side and oversee advertorial as well. Yeah, writer, editor, crypto enthusiast.
Fantastic. Yeah. Good. So today, later on the show, we're delighted to have Travladd from King Crypto in the house with us. He'll be joining us shortly. So we're just going to go over a couple of pieces of general crypto news before we do that. And then, yeah, look forward to having Travladd here on the stream with us. And that should be sort of maybe 15, 20 minutes or so, depending on how things go. Might be sooner, might be later. Anyway, one thing that I woke up to this morning in the world of crypto is Floki. So I bought some a while back, I think sort of beginning of 2023, and I saw this morning it had jumped on my CoinStats app around 60% up, which is great to see. Then looked a little bit at the news. They've got a confirmed listing on KuCoin, but yeah, 60% gains is nice to see. And I think the term Floki might come up a little bit more later in this live episode, but we'll see why soon. Kyle, obviously, you follow tokens, the market quite closely, being the Director of Content. Do you know perhaps any more reasons why this 60% pump could have happened? I have maybe one idea that rhymes with fleet on crust. But yeah, I mean, your thoughts on these dog tokens?
Floki's been rising for about a month now, maybe a little longer. And that's come from the hard work from the team, but yeah, you can see the spike a little earlier, not too long ago. I mean, there's definitely a huge spike, big green candle today, but as you can see, just even a couple weeks ago, back to the 27th of January, it started rising, and that comes from them again doing really clever metaverse partnerships, and like building out their suite of projects, right? So they have the Floki Locker, which is growing in TVL. They also are doing like a pivot to China, right? So they released the Valhalla game in the latter half of Q4 last year, and that's really been what they're trying to build for, from what I can tell, the Valhalla game. And yeah, they're making a strong pivot to Asia. They're pushing into the Chinese market. That's been a big thing just on their Twitter recently. How there's more Chinese gamers than there are citizens in the United States. So that's kind of that's the stat they've been putting out, that right, it's a country of 1.6, almost 2 billion people or whatever. The amount of people who play games there is just as much as the entire population of the United States, right? So that's the mantra they're pushing, that they're trying to grow this big, grow their metaverse with all of these players, right? So that's why they're making that push, which to me is, I don't know, just playing devil's advocate, has been in the back of my head, like, well, crypto's still kind of banned and prohibited in China, so you're kind of banking that move on in like an easement or a rapprochement or whatever you want to call it from the crypto industry with the Chinese government. So I mean, in terms of just like Floki rising today, I mean, it's we published an article out already, and there was the KuCoin listing, and I want to say there was some other catalyst, now that I think about it. I mean, I read the article like 2 hours ago, and it's been a pretty busy morning. So there definitely was something else. I mean, if we want to open the article, I'm sure we can, but that's what I've understood.
I mean, one a different crypto news outlet Not going to name names, but they said Doge, Floki, they've obviously pumped today because Elon Musk shared pictures of his dog. Obviously, that could be a reason why. So I'm just going to. I put these on the screen earlier. So a couple of people think it's because of him sharing pictures of his dog. Obviously, Elon Musk has made it clear before that he holds Doge, and that Doge. Well, he hasn't made it clear, perhaps, that Doge is going to be used in Twitter, but there are rumors somewhere along the line that it could be used somehow. But who knows? And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but Elon Musk's dog is called Floki. Is that correct?
Oh, I'm not familiar with what he names his dog.
Oh, fine. Okay. Yeah, I think he might have named it Floki, but if I'm wrong, please do, in the comments say, no, Tom, you're wrong. His name is actually something else completely. These are Dogecoin is the bars, and then Floki is the line. You can sort of see a relative correlation between them, but that could just be them following the market in general. But today, sort of when Elon tweeted pictures of his dog, we can see that there's obviously a very strong correlation there between both of the tokens, which is interesting to see. So Elon tweeted a picture of his dog, and these two tokens rocketed. It's funny, the person tweeting a picture of a dog can do this. And thank you, Kernel of Crypto, for confirming Elon Musk's dog's name is Floki. Interesting stuff.
I mean, what it also just tells you is just how fickle the market is. It's just so sporadic. Like, okay, like, what really drives, pressures in economics and these types of things, right? A lot of it is hysteria, right? So just following the hype is like really a lot of times what will like move markets. And as the most powerful man in the world, or maybe that's a big statement, but one of the richest and most powerful men in the world, what he says moves markets. So if he's tweeting about dogs and dog coins start to move, you got to think that there's some sort of weird correlation, whatever it might be.
Indeed. I can imagine as well that, for example, if Warren Buffett posted a picture of him and like BMW like this, that perhaps would, make stocks of a certain company go up as well. I'm going to move on to a different subject, but before we do, Kyle, is there anything you'd like to bring up at all while we're on the dogs?
No, I mean, nothing. I mean, I guess about dog coins, Baby Doge hit, just to throw this out there, hit another all-time high this past week in its TVL on the Baby Doge swap. So again, that's just another notable thing that dog coins have been on the move recently. So
nice. So thank you, Ben A, for saying meme tokens bring real utility in the next bull. And obviously thank you, Kernel of Crypto as well, saying King bringing real utility now. And we're going to be looking at King token and King Finance shortly as well. Something that I'd like to share quickly as well is RPC URL. So on the BSC News website, we've recently updated our RPC URL lists. And this has RPC URLs for BNB Chain, Polygon, and Ethereum. And you can vote on which RPC URL you like best there. What I'm going to do quickly is just add 2 seconds RPC URLs. Okay. Oh yeah, at the top left of the 2 seconds. At the top left of the at the top left of the stream, which is just there above me, there is the link to the RPC URLs list on the BSC News website. You can vote for which RPC URL you like to use the best. To be honest, they're all much of a muchness, very similar. However, there is one that I'll share on the screen now that personally I use and I think is quite different to the rest, which is at the very, very top. You might have sort of seen them paste sort of pasted on these live streams as well, which is Blockstream. I have talked about them before. It's completely free to use for retail users. If you're just trading, I don't know, DeFi on a daily basis on PancakeSwap, that sort of thing. So blocks root protect, which is at the very top at the moment. And what that does, if you add that as a custom RPC URL in BNB chain, it prevents you getting front run and also prevents you getting sandwiched, attacked. You might have seen perhaps on PooCoin, Dex Screener, that sort of thing. If you make a trade, there'll be a trade sort of in between yours. So a big buy and a big sell, or vice versa. And essentially, because perhaps you've used the incorrect amount of slippage, which can be easily done. Maybe the token's very volatile, it's a new token release or something. A smart contract the person's made will take advantage of that and essentially make the price that you're buying or selling the worst it can be. And they're going to buy and sell either side of you. Either way, it's going to lose you money, and it drains liquidity from the project's liquidity pairs. And yeah, the RPC URL for that is at the very top there, which is blocks root. I'm just going to bring up a quick QR code.
And Tom, with blocks root, you basically, it's pretty, from what I understand, it's pretty simple. You just need to copy and paste some code into your wallet. Like MetaMask, yes, for example, you just have to go into the advanced settings of MetaMask, and blocks root provides you with some pretty easy tutorials to check that stuff out. But I actually haven't done it, but I've read that it should be pretty easy.
In my opinion, it's a no-brainer because it's completely free, you know, and all you need to do is just change your RPC URL within MetaMask. If you scan that QR code that's just popped up on the sort of big screen, that'll take you to a page where it explains it on a PDF, I think. And yeah, an RPC URL protects you from getting front run. Very easy to use. And obviously, yeah, the page on the BSC News website, which if I just bring it up at the top left, so I know there's about 1 million QR codes on the screen at the moment, but the one at the top left, sort of where my hand is pointing, at the very top left, that'll take you to the BSC News RPC URL page, where we've got RPC URLs based on Binance, also Polygon and Ethereum. And you can vote for which RPC URL, you know, you like the best. And there's lots of them offered by, different services. I personally use blocks root just for the protection of front running and things that you get from it.
Yeah, and anyway, on the topic of meme coins too. I mean, this is a really special tool, especially if you're trading meme coins, because of their volatility. You know, you might have to change the slippage on a Floki swap today just because of the rise that it's having, right? Because of the sharp gains that it's having. You know, when you're going to swap it, it's going to potentially ask you to raise your slippage because the price is changing so much. So having a tool like blocks root is super helpful.
So slippy. Yeah. So it can be very, very easy to use incorrect slippage. Obviously a lot of projects but they have tax, and that can be anywhere between 0%. Well, obviously 0% wouldn't be a tax, but 8%, 10% sometimes. And understandably, sometimes people get that wrong. Or if the coins or token is volatile, like Carl said, you'd need to use slippage to account for the price changes. When you're buying or selling, or if there's low liquidity as well, your price impact is could be higher than what you're trying to use as slippage.
Yeah, anyway. Floki has a tax, if I remember. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, that those taxes will hit you as well.
Yeah, they'll hit you, but they're often used for a very good thing. Taxes aren't necessarily bad. In England, I love paying tax. It's one of my favorite things to do. So tax for the win, as they say. Anyway, Carl, have you got anything to bring up? Any news or hot topics before? Oh, blimey, sorry, that's a bit large. Before we move on to the next topic, I can see there's a lot of people that are very keen and wanting to talk about King finance. So we will get onto that very, very soon. Carl, anything to raise at all before I introduce the Kings?
No, I mean, I think something we can use to just transition the conversation into King Finance. And I mentioned this to you before joining the stream here, was that I attended an event on Monday in San Francisco where they had the global marketing communications officer from Coinbase, Crystal Yang, and then they had the global partnerships director of Robinhood, Mick, and a kind of media mogul guy named Peter Weltman, who seems to be well involved in crypto and other forms of media. He apparently got famous as a sommelier.
Don't worry, Kyle. Carry on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, the focus of that talk was effective communication in Web3, and like how we as the industry should effectively communicate our products. You know, from the Coinbase perspective, it was about like explaining, you know, products to a global audience. You know, with Robinhood, it was about, you know, how do you explain, you know, kind of Web3 things to a Web2 audience. And then there was just a kind of general, well, how do we approach this kind of human communication in the world of chat GPT and all this AI that's happening? How do we incorporate that to, you know, keep our messages clear, keep our messages positive and like beneficial to the space? And the reason I think that this could be tied back to King Finance is because just watching that project come about just in the past few weeks, you know, they've been doing a really good job of communicating their intentions of what they're trying to do, especially with, you know, and we can hopefully get into this when they join, but just the fact that they more or less like resurrected a previous project, and how doing that needs effective communication. You need to be explaining clearly to your audience and community like what your intentions are, what you're doing, because people are invested in this and people are, you know, hoping, you know, you're going to switch this around. You know, there's an NFT project called Moonwalkers on BNB chain that kind of went through a similar situation, that, you know, the developers rugged, like just took everything, but the community stayed and they actually like rebuilt the project themselves, and are working with devs to like figure out how to migrate the smart contract back and all this stuff. But it's just really interesting to see projects like King Finance or this Moonwalkers project that will take like a dead project or a floundering project and flip it on its head. And a lot of that comes with just communicating your intentions as a project, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and getting feedback from your community, and just being there. And so that was something I just like kind of took away from the talk on Monday as well, was that effective communication is kind of being there. You know, Crystal Yang, the Coinbase lady, said, you know, it's really important for us to like face the news. You know, if there's a problem, we as Coinbase, we have to face it. Like, we can't hide away. We have to own our mistakes. We have to own any errors we might make in the market, because honesty and transparency is literally the best thing. I mean, if we can take one thing from FTX, you know, it might be that transparency and honesty is the way of the industry, right? So I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now, but I mean, I think that's it's a good, it was just a good takeaway that from the meeting on Monday, that I don't know, now that you know, before coming onto this, I was like, this could be something we could talk about. You know, and yeah, when you said King Finance, it was like, okay, cool, this is a great project that you know, is working to do exactly that, try and effectively communicate like all the different revenue streams that they're building out. There's like 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, and they're really trying to build those out and get their community behind what they're capable of doing and how they can take advantage of these different streams by buying different NFTs, using them in different areas, and that type of stuff. So hopefully their team can maybe go into it a little better.
Defo,
when we have them on.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, you know, you said, you know, transparency and honesty are very important. You could say that transparency and honesty within crypto are king. And that actually leads me on to the guests that we've got. A lot of people are saying, you know, King is bullish. And hold on, that's why I've worn my T-shirt. Bullish.
Both society.
Bullish. So, yeah, with that, I'm going to introduce our guests, who, in the words of some of their community, are competent and trusted. A lot of people, you know, as you can see in the comments, love King. They're saying it's so bullish. So I'm very, very pleased and happy to introduce to the stream, to BSC News Live, Travladd, Travis, who's King co-founder, and King Finance there as well. So guys, I don't really know who wants to speak first, but if you could introduce yourselves and a little bit maybe about the team at King Finance, that would be fantastic. And welcome to the stream, and thank you very, very much for being here.
Sure, thank you for having us as well. I'm Travis, and I'm the co-founder, and on the King Finance account, that is Benson, who is also the founder, co-founder, whatever you want to call it. I don't know where you want us to start. Do you want us to go into where we started with this, the revenue streams? How do you want us to go into this? And thank you for having us.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to start maybe a little bit about yourselves personally, maybe how you got into crypto, and then sort of how you ended up where you are at the moment with King Finance, that would be brilliant. I mean, I've followed your Twitter account personally for a long time now, and I hear an English accent as well, which is nice to hear. But yeah, I mean, if you want to tell us a bit about how you got into crypto initially, and then how you got here with King Finance as well, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Well, I do believe that obviously a little bit of background is great for people that wanting to learn about a project. So, I mean, my history is pretty entrepreneurial. However, it's sort of been sidelined. So, first off, we'll start from the early days. Teenager, I started a little car washing business around my estate in Manchester. You were right. You heard the English accent, so that's what I was doing. And then I went into flipping like designer or like fairly expensive items of clothing, whether it just be back then. I mean, like nice Nikes would be pretty worthwhile. So you'd buy them off sites that did secondhand, like Depop, things like that. Then flip them, clean them up, flip them. So yeah, smart. I had to make 2 accounts just so when I sold them, the person I bought them off originally wasn't like, oh my god, he just sold it for like this much more. So yeah, I was scouting obviously things that were worthwhile, cleaning them up, selling them for more. Then I went into the streaming business, so Twitch. I was a Twitch streamer for 3 years maybe. Built an audience of around, I think, 100,000 plus peak. So always been pretty good in the social aspect. Then I started again another little marketing area of marketing content creators that were obviously trying to make it on Twitch as well. And obviously I'd make a fee in the middle here by managing those sort of things. And then I then went into Bonfire, which is funnily enough where me and Benson could have combined, but we didn't know each other back then. And he actually came into contact with me when I was doing AMAs. And I found out that he was also, he worked on the marketing team of the Bonfire project. And I was like one of the early people. I was like one of the first cryptos I ever bought. It was just like spreading everywhere. It went very well until it didn't. You know how it is in crypto, until the team just were a little bit incompetent and it just crashed and burned, ironically saying. But yeah, so that's a little bit of background on myself. I do have a degree as well. My degree is in geoscience. I did that at the same time as my streaming career at university. So yeah, that's a bit of background knowledge on myself. I'll let you go over to Benson.
Go ahead, Benson.
Right. Hopefully you can hear me well, if you can confirm that.
Loud and clear.
Lovely. Well, thanks for having us. I'm on the King Finance account, basically. Let's call it that. That's the same tag we use on Twitter. So if you guys are curious enough, you guys can go ahead and type that in Twitter. Now, when it comes to my background, I have a very similar background to Travis's. I've always been finding ways to be a proper entrepreneur, trying to find ways to actually, get out of the how can we call it, mediocre kind of generation of funds. When you're generating $1,000, $2,000 a month, I always wanted to get out of that. So I've always found ways to, of course, go into the entrepreneur side of things. Also have an MBA. Was a bit too late when I realized that, the whole university thing does not give you success. But I've always been, in the marketing side of things, of course. I've always been super interested in digital marketing as well. So joined crypto around total of 3 years ago, and was able to just make great connections all over. Got into, once again, like Trav said, Bonfire very early, helped them with marketing overall with the international communities. So it was a fun path. We started very, very, very powerfully with a project that reached almost $1 billion in market cap, and then just started getting the hang of it. Worked together with Trav for a while. We have a very good synergy. He does his bit, I do my own, and overall, King's just turned out to look really, really good. Very solid business based, let's say, ecosystem within decentralized finance. So, yep.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much for the introductions. Similar to you, Travladd, I did the whole sort of flipping thing. Back when it wasn't overly saturated, I'd have a Supreme bot with like 16 different tabs, and yeah, it was a long time ago, but yeah, there you go. But yeah, very interesting backgrounds, guys, and thank you very much, for the explanation. You're more than welcome as well to share a tab on Chrome or something to talk more in depth about specifics from King Finance. Obviously, I can do it myself, and I'm more than happy to. But if there's something perhaps that you want to showcase, you're more than welcome to do that as well. But now, sort of on to King Finance. Can you tell us an overview of what King Finance is, and perhaps what you hope to achieve? Obviously, you've got a really good community. In the comments and just in general as well. It's great to see all these very positive comments. But yeah, just an overview of what King Finance is, and what you offer. That would be fantastic.
Certainly. This is always my favorite part because I love explaining the business models to people. Like with investors, I generally do it at least at the minute once a day to someone that wants to invest a considerable amount. So that's a great question. What is King Finance? So we wanted to develop a business model that is appealing to not just the decentralized world, because in my experience, like I lived in Dubai for a year, and I met with a guy that was in oil, and essentially he was like, yeah, I will never buy crypto. What can you even use crypto for? This, that, and the other. So essentially what I wanted to do was integrate a physical world attachment to King, and doing that's where we want to go in with the physical real estate part. But we'll get into that anyway. So that was a little bit of a cool intro story. Yeah, I was sat with a guy that was a pretty wealthy dude, and he was like, no, I'm not buying crypto. What can I even do with this? So that really correlated to my thought process and the fact that I needed something here that someone like that can't say, hey, look, like this isn't valuable when it can have physical properties
Can I
within a
interrupt you a
business.
second, Trav? You guys are sharing a wrong website. If you can close that, that'd be lovely. I'll share my own, no problem.
No problem. Oh, Tom, you're muted.
Apologies. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was sharing that one. Yeah, so I've got lots of tabs up. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, if you could share that would be amazing. I'm very, very sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, but
That's all good. No problem, mate.
cool. Do you have the option to switch on the little switch to make it shared on the screen, on the stream?
I'm trying.
There you go.
No, that's lovely. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and apologies again. Yeah,
no,
sorry.
no
Carry on.
problem. Happens, mate.
Brilliant. So, okay, so we'll go through the business model now. So, again, if you want to be successful in business, number one, you have to find the gap in the market. Number two, especially in DeFi, I feel like you have to have that physical connection to the quotation real world. And that's where the spark came from that. So I'll go through it all now. So in the crypto space, you have launch pads, right? Theoretically, most of the launch pads take a large percentage of tokens off projects, which then is their revenue or part of their revenue, which they then sell on projects, making it pretty hard for some of them to get out of the initial phase. So, and another thing is that if we're all aware that unfortunately in crypto, essentially, there's a lot of scammers. It is what it is. What can you do about it right now? Well, that's the question that you've got to ask yourself as well. So what I've noticed in some of the launch pads, not the absolute elite ones like Binance, is that if a project scams, then you just have a bunch of people running around in a chat like, hey, look, like, what do I do now? And for the professionalism of that, this comes into where I'm going, is that the first part of our ecosystem is a launch pad. Within that launch pad, we've already partnered with Assure DeFi. They will be doing our KYCs, which are very extensive. They even take your specific location. And if anything scammy ever happens, they take the correct legal process and process that for us. So that as a business, we have an elite route, really. We're not like these other ones where people are just like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, we have a team that are going to handle that. We also have a partnership with Certic for the Launchpad too. And then we'll get into the revenue source. So we'll take a fee from the Launchpad launches, which will be used as a deflationary aspect / project development. So this means that part of the revenue split is that tokens are physically bought back and burned and fully taken out of supply. And this is what all of the revenue sources I'm about to explain to you work in the same mechanism, so that all of our revenue sources will contribute towards developing the King ecosystem further, as well as buyback, burning, taking tokens out of supply. So it's like real, it's essentially like someone coming in and just buying a bunch and just being like, hey, look, yeah, I'm never going to sell this. So it's pretty cool. So the one-time fee from the Launchpad, that's the first revenue source. The people that use the Launchpad can choose to use their advertising billboards that are in our metaverse. We hired a team called Storyboard who did work for Justin Bieber on his Spotify launch party to build our metaverse. You can see it now, kingfloki.com. And we will be expanding that in the vision again. You'll be aware of Club Penguin. It was very successful for over a decade by Disney. And we think that we can build like a Web3 version of that. But obviously, by that, we can put things in there, which is what we're going to get into, which attracts players and stuff later, because you need a good player base. By building a good player base, we can essentially make partnerships with NFT projects and implement an exclusive for them, so their community can come in, we can co-market each other, and they can have their own exclusive NFT to wear within the metaverse. They can play the mini games that will be situated around the metaverse. We have one in there right now. It's 5 Mbps, meaning that people in the less economically developed places in the world with worse internet connection can play with ease. So they only need 5 Mbps to be able to play these games. There's one live in there right now, which is bug-free, based on an addictive style similar to Temple Run. There you go. You've got it Can you turn the volume? Oh, thank you. So he can show you there. You can run around. We have multiplayer servers and a chat box. The mini games in there. There's one right now. You can be able to talk to the guy over there, and it goes you straight into a mini game. We want to have like a minimum of 5 areas like this around the world with different mini games. The player base will be built up by our NFT partnerships and co-marketing and implementing their own NFTs into it. We have a very large partnership as well with a very big NFT project that blew up this month that I can't announce yet until we've integrated it, but I'm very good friends with their CEO/founder. So they're already on board with it. I have some pretty nice connections in the NFT community that I think would love to be able to put their wearable in there as well. Which leads me on to the fact that we'll have advertising boards in here that people that use the Launchpad can use with the same system of the buyback, burn, and develop system. Then we will have on the Launchpad, we're going to be making specific partnerships with businesses and influencers so that we can have a premium price and make a little bit of a fund in the middle. So there could be up to 15 revenue sources there from different businesses, different influencers that give us a premium price, and then we have funds in the middle that we can then develop with and buy back and burn with there. So like that could be insane. We could have a hell of a lot of revenue coming from the Launchpad side. Next, we just have a standard burn tax, so that if people buy, sell, we get an accumulation tax that strategically buy back and burn again there. It's not really a revenue source, but it is, if you get what I'm saying. It's not a development, it's there, which is helpful. Our NFT collection is, again, everything that we do, you could compare to a relatively strong business. So you're aware of Fortnite, they have skins and that people can purchase and then they can play in their skins. Our NFT wearable collection there's unlimited commons, so it's not like a normal NFT collection. So people can keep minting commons if they want to and get new outfits. They can merge those commons into rares, and then obviously the rarer ones are more, what's the word? They're harder to get, and there's much fewer of them. The price and the premium prices from this comes from the fact that people want to get the outfit that they actually want. It's not the fact that, hey, look, this is the floor price. It's essentially like a Fortnite skin collection where people can wear whatever skins they want, and they want to buy the skins that they want. So that's how that NFT collection works. And the fees generated through volume is in the same system of buyback, burn, and build the ecosystem further. So I've covered the NFT revenue source, the launchpad, the advertising billboards, the burn tax, the multiple business partnerships via the launchpad. Okay, I think that the next part to go into is the King Pass. Again, it's like a subscription model, like with Netflix. You subscribe every month, you get a service. With the King Pass, you get a 60% tax reduction. You can have calls with the founders and things like that. If you want them, I'm sure Benson can bring the King Pass up as well. There are other premiums, like I believe that we want to bring out specific outfits for King Pass holders. There's multiple premiums. Oh, and this is where we're going. We may as well lead into the real estate from this. People with the King Pass can then take part in fractionalization of properties. This is the final part of the ecosystem, the property side. We will do fractionalization so that if investors want to own part of a property, when we sell that property or when we rent that property out, they will get that percentage of revenue. But ideally, we want to get our own property up first before we go into fractionalization. But it's just plans for the future as we expand the King business. So we'll go into the King land property side of things. So in the metaverse, you can buy digitalized property. Again, the same as the NFT side, the trading volume can be used to buy back, burn, deflate, and build the King ecosystem. But they also own the rights to the property, so that if they want to advertise on their property, as long as it's safe, they can do so, and they can customize it as well. And then we go into the physical real estate side, where revenue from like the whole ecosystem can contribute towards buying properties. So we are actually a registered business in Silicon Oasis, Dubai. But that ideally we probably won't be purchasing any properties in Dubai. Europe seems like a better market for it, and cheaper, so that we can get more properties in a shorter time span. But what we want to do essentially is create a physical property real estate portfolio for King, which means that there are many ways we can work this. Firstly, we can rent them out so that the rental revenue can be used to buy back and burn the token and develop further. But the second part is that what we can do is, if we manage to get our first property or two up before the bull market, and then obviously in a bull market you have euphoria and everything, like you're going to get a lot more funds from the bull market, then you can buy more properties afterwards. What we want to do, obviously, this is the attachment to the physical quotation mark real world. So that what ideally is, the with the real estate market, the appreciation of property is pretty prominent. So if we can hold properties for 1 to 2 years, and then we can make a realistic figure of, like, if it's a smaller property, 20 to 30,000 in revenue, or a larger property up to 100, probably 50 to 60,000 within that period. And then we can sell that property. So then we get the funds anywhere between 20 to 60K. Then we can buy a pre-build property, which is obviously much cheaper. You buy the pre-build. Once it's built in usually around a 16-month time span, it is then again worth anywhere between, like $30,000 to $100,000 plus I've seen. And then you've got your property back, you've got a ton of funds in the middle, and then you've got another property that's going to appreciate in value, and a ton of funds that we can use for deflating or building further, expanding the King real estate portfolio. So I don't want to ramble on too much because there is so much that we can talk about. I think I've covered potentially the trading volume from the digital and physical, the trading volume from the NFTs, the digitalized property, the King Pass subscription model, the launchpad, the billboards, the real estate, the burn tax. Yeah, I've probably covered 7 or 8 revenue sources plus the additional 10 to 20 that we'll get from business partnerships via the launchpad. So yeah, this is a real business. Like, we have a very strong business model. Clearly we have a lot of revenue streams that you've already seen products for. The metaverse is there in front of you. The launchpad is coded and ready to go before the end of Q1, so before the end of March. The digitalized property is ready to go. Everything I've just said to you is, apart from the billboards, which aren't exactly hard for our team, like that won't take them very long, it's ready to go. And then we just want to start that physical real estate portfolio as the funds rise, which it makes it even more sustainable for the long run. Thank you for listening to that. I feel like that was like a little bit of a short presentation, the amount of time I rambled on there, but it's a lot to cover.
No, it was really interesting, and thank you for going so into depth. Honestly, it was Yeah, very, very interesting indeed. Yeah, I have got quite a few questions and stuff. And I did have the little the game that you were playing up as well. Then I saw, another Tom in there. And I thought, yeah, who's that imposter? But obviously, yeah. But yeah, I've got quite a few questions. But I know, Kyle, you've written quite a few times about this whole ecosystem. Have you got any questions or comments that you'd like to say at all? Oh, I think you might be muted, Kyle. Ah, yeah, I think Kyle's a little bit muted, but when you've got your voice back, Kyle, let us know. You might need to exit and enter again, but that's absolutely fine. In the meantime, I was going to ask, so, the demo of the game that you got at the moment is good fun. I've been, sort of running around there, doing some jumps, jumping on top of signs and things, talking to some other Floki-esque looking
Can you hear me?
creatures. Oh, we can hear you now. Yeah, would you like to go ahead? And it looks as though your connection's frozen now. Sorry, Kyle. We'll get back to you very, very shortly, Kyle. I was going to ask, yeah, with the the game that you've got at the moment, what's the, say, like, 2 years down the line, what can we expect it to be like? And is it comparable to anything released at the moment?
Okay, so I don't know if you want to take this one, Benson, or if I should go into it because you talk to the developers a lot more than me.
Yeah, no problem about that. Thanks for the great question, Tom. And at the moment, I don't see any direct competitors. We do like to compare it to a modernized Club Penguin, because at the end of the day, that's our main goal. Allowing users to play with low, at the end of the day, low internet speed, low connection. So, as Trav said before, with only 5 Mbps, you can actually play smoothly. Like, you don't need more than that. Right now, pretty much in the whole entire planet, you can access to 5 Mbps. So once again, the accessibility is one of the keys of our game overall. The smoothness when it comes to playing with masses. We've had 700 people in it, probably more than that, at our launch party, and it was working fantastically well. One thing that you will definitely notice is that the whole graphics concept is very minimalistic, though the quality of the image and the colors is remarkable. Now, what we want to do with King Floki as a whole is build it so that people can play in so many different ways, whether it is to have some fun, whether it is to eventually generate yourself some extra capital, whether it is to just compete and have fun. It is a game for everybody. It's a game that teenagers can play, but it's also a game that adults willing to make money and generate funds through the game experience can actually do it too. Everything is tradable within the experience, so you can even trade your outfits, you can trade your land, you can even eventually trade trophies that you've won. You can host parties in your land plots. It is a very, very complete gaming experience that I haven't seen around. We believe once again that accessibility is one of the key aspects when it comes to gaming. I am the first one that hates downloading 1 gigabyte games on the App Store that just fill my phone memory up. So if I can just join in Safari and have it all linked to my personal account or Google Chrome, wherever you prefer, and play straight away, I'm much more comfortable that way. So that's basically what King Floki is achieving.
Nice. Yeah, easy. Instead of having to, have a specific Windows computer with a powerful graphics card that sucks up loads of memory and stuff. No, I think that sounds good. Yeah, the way forward, just literally sit down and play. Exciting stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, for the explanation. I am a big fan of not really sure whether to call it GameFi, but sort of worlds, connected in crypto, fun stuff in crypto. And yeah, I can't wait for more. So thank you very much, for the explanation. Kyle, welcome back, sir. Hopefully everything's working with you now.
Yeah.
Would you like to
Can you hear
give it
me?
a test? Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened there. Actually, like the whole browser shut off when I turned my AirPods off. It was kind of weird. But no, I want to just start this by just saying thanks to Trav and Benson for coming on and explaining this. It's been really interesting hearing kind of what the King ecosystem is trying to do, and especially with all the revenue streams and this kind of real world asset acquisition proposition. The thing that's been in the back of my head listening to this has been the idea of the network state by, and I always butcher his name, it's Balaji Sivanandison, something like that. The guy who created the network state. It's basically this idea where it's his like future. He used to be global head of global technology at Coinbase, and he's basically graduated to this idea where he thinks that the next step of the internet is what he's calling the network state, where more or less like your .eth can be like your citizenship, right? So then the Ethereum community could then purchase a piece of land somewhere, and like when you show up to a parcel of land now purchased in El Salvador or something, crossing into that land, you're now like an ETH person. There should be a certain amount of customs, expectations, that type of thing. And so I'm just thinking in the back of my head is like that's kind of the end goal of what I could see the King Finance community and ecosystem becoming, is like if you end up buying like a piece of land for the community, that piece of land then like becomes the territorial state of this group. Maybe not to use like antiquated terms like that, but that's kind of what it is you're establishing this like Web3 world in the physical and digital world, which is like the major step of Balaji's network state, of like how we're going to graduate from being in this digital world and having these customs and having these communities that are just basically only virtual, and how we can connect to them like that. How do we like manifest this into reality? Well, it has to start with territorial acquisition. That's like you have to get land somewhere. So how do you do that? You have to start buying it. Basically, it's like the bottom line. And so if like this is part of King's roadmap, this is just like really intriguing to me, that this is like a project that's kind of starting to build this. Obviously the end goal is potentially really far out and don't want to get ahead of yourself, but it's just really awesome to be seeing projects like this start to build these communities, and like having reputable people like Benson and Trav who are explaining that they're entrepreneurial, they have a good again, to use the word roadmap ahead of themselves. It's just so bullish. Like to me, it's such an intriguing project just for that one reason alone. But add on all of the revenue streams, add on to the stuff that Benson was just explaining. It's just a really cool project. So I don't know if I really have a question there, other than just like, is that something you guys are familiar with? Like, have you heard of the network state? And is that something that's even in your mind?
That's a great one, Kyle. Thanks for the kind words as well. Appreciate that. Honestly, I heard of the network state before. I didn't dive into it, but I do think it's, as you put it on the table, it is definitely accurate. I do believe that at the end of the day, allowing unique source of coding to, of course, build yourself as you said before, a kind of background in terms of everything, identity, real estate portfolio, with that extension that you might have, as you said, .eth or .BSC, is definitely a concept of the future. And once again, as I always say at King Finance, we are working in the future already. I tell investors all the time that we are building concepts, using the mechanics of DeFi and Solidity. We are building codes and concepts that will be normalized in the next 5-10 years. So certainly, Kyle. We develop as Solidity develops. We develop as DeFi develops, and we're always on track with all the coding and new sources of technology that the whole decentralized finance ecosystem brings to the table. So overall, thanks again for the kind words. And I wanted to share a screenshot as well of our event that we had at launch with all of the people in the map. It just looks super cool.
That's cool. And it was playing absolutely fine, was it? Like, no.
Yeah, that's smooth.
That's really good.
Yeah,
This was the launch party you guys had, correct?
Yeah, that's the launch party we had. We're probably going to have another one tomorrow evening, but I still need to schedule it with the developers.
I'll be there if it's on.
You'll see it in our socials. It'll probably be on tomorrow evening, so you'll see it prior notice. Anyways, yes, that was the launch party event. We had people hiding all over the map, trying to find each other. It was cool. And again, that's a demo. Imagine once everyone can have their different outfits, everyone can play their different mini games, and everyone can just trade, compete, chat in private. It is crazy.
It does look very fun, and I think that number of people together in sort of an online place, it multiplies the amount of fun from like a single player version, by orders of magnitude. I think it's very, very fun indeed. And if there is another event, happening tomorrow, as you said, I'll be there because this sort of thing I love. It's great to see. So yeah, keep it up. Basically, it's very good. I've got another question that is quite different from what you've been talking about. Is there anything, any questions that you had, Kyle, or anything more that you'd like to raise, Benson or Trav, at all, before I sort of switch topics a bit?
Oh no, go ahead and switch topics. Let's hear about something else.
Sweet. Okay, cool. I'm just going to put up as well some of the socials for King Finance. So if you're interested in joining their communities, hold on a second, that is where to go. I know it's fair. I'm going to add some hyphens actually in between all of that because it is a little bit messy. Apologies. What I'm going to hold on, I can't do two things at once because I don't know anyone that can. Okay, right, I've done that. Okay, their socials are down at the bottom. So if you're interested in joining their communities and things, there you go. It's just below me. So you mentioned investing in real life properties, in the real world sort of thing. And a lot of people see this. The general consensus is it's safe. In England, we say as safe as houses. And I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. Hold on a moment. So this is the house price index from HMRC or HMLR, Her Majesty's Land. Don't know. Anyway, so this is the data directly from the government, and as you can see, there's a small dip. Hasn't got the. So there's a small dip, 2008 during that, the general huge recession that we had. Do you think house prices will continue to rise? So we can see that they've been rising sort of around the 10% mark for a while now. But do you think we can continue to see a rise? And do you think perhaps the housing market? I know it's a completely different subject, but as your intention perhaps is to invest in them. Do you think this bubble could pop, or do you think that house prices are just going to generally continue to rise for not indefinitely, but it should be obvious perhaps when they're going to start to fall off a bit of a hill?
I think in this scenario, we have to take into consideration the area. The chart you've got up is the UK.
Yeah.
In the UK, I believe the population is around 58, is it? 58 million, I believe, the UK population.
Yeah, I don't really know, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. So you've got a highly densely populated country. Like I left the UK for certain reasons. Like number one, like the tax is silly for people. That's why statistically the number of young entrepreneurs leaving the UK in the last year has been very high.
Yeah.
You can look that up as well. So yeah, the area it really depends a lot on the country. So with the UK, with a population of 57 million to the square meter of land, the UK actually has double the population of almost double the population of the entirety of Canada, and Canada is only just slightly smaller than the whole of Europe. Yet UK has nearly double the population. So
Man.
so the area really depends. Like I know in Canada, if you buy a property, valuation this year was around 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, basement, downstairs. That cost you around I think it was around 400,000. I don't know whether it was Canadian or US, 400,000. But if you bought that at pre-build and then you sold it once it was built, you're making over $100,000 in profit immediately.
That's insane. What am I doing in the UK?
There's a ton of real estate development happening in like Western Canada. As just like a Californian, I've been thinking like, okay, well, moving north might be kind of smart with climate change, and just kind of loosely paid attention to what's happening north in like British Columbia and Alberta. Yeah, there's a lot of
you just hit the nail on the head, by the way. You hit the nail on the head, Alberta. That's where there's very good property appreciation right now.
Oh,
I mean, it's basically like the North Plains up there. Like once you get pretty north up there, like I mean, that's going to be some of the most fertile farmland in the next like 50 years. Like it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I've been to Canada once. I went mainly to Calgary and sort of, around there, the Rockies and stuff. And driving there, the amount of just open space was astounding. And what sort of, confirmed that as well. I went to see the Calgary Flames, and at halftime, or not halftime, but like the multiple breaks that they have, these, it was one of my favorite parts of the match. These, they happen to be women in these, then they happen to wear mini skirts. They came out with these like shovels and shoveled all like the loose ice off the thing, and it said "Big Country" on their shovels. And I thought, yeah, that's cool. Canada is one of the few places that I'd actually, move to and live. I think it is a great country. No, but that's very good. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, have you had experience before in like investing in physical property and real estate, that sort of thing?
I mean, I'm only 25 and I was doing the different businesses for a long time. So at the
You're
minute,
good.
Yeah, at the minute, no, I've not, but like I know about it. I've been interested in it. However, Benson, he's 26. He has invested in a property in Dubai. So we do have experience. Like he's already done it, and I know, as I've just explained, I know quite a lot about my degree is literally in physical geography, geoscience, whatever you want to call it, geology, which means the study of rocks. So I literally know about rocks, which obviously have to go on top of, and topography. So yeah, I know a lot of things. Benson's started investing in it, so our knowledge is there and it's existing.
Mad respect. I mean, you are clearly a very successful. I know it's a bit of a cliche term. Oh, sorry, and I don't really like to use this term because I think it's a bit cringy. But an entrepreneur. What you've done so far in your life is very impressive. And investing in property, in my personal opinion, it's in inverted commas, a sort of safe investment. It's not like you're investing in certain stocks, which can be a bit hit and miss sometimes. If you just generally choose the correct area of property, if you have, I think a barrier to entry for property is the initial investment. I think a lot more people would do it if they could essentially afford to. So yeah, I think what you guys have got going is really impressive, very special, very unique as well. And I'd really love to join some of these events, and hopefully there's going to be one tomorrow night. So I'm going to join your socials and things and sort of keep an eye out there. But it's been so interesting to learn more about yourselves and also King Finance. I could talk for a long time. Kyle, have you got anything you'd like to ask at all, bearing in mind we have been going for an hour and people need to maybe get some dinner, some pancakes?
Pancakes now. No, I mean, it's just been a pleasure listening and kind of getting to hear them flesh out their ideas. Just on the spot like this. It's been nice talking to them.
Oh, it's been super. It's been so good. Travladd, Benson, is there anything you'd like to raise at all? Say anything at all? Before we perhaps
to say I like your gaming chair.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, I did have a Herman Miller Aeron. However, I was finding that it was actually hurting my coccyx. So, like, apparently a Herman Miller Aeron is, really good for sitting there all day. And I had it, but even though it was the big one, it was sort of compressing my thighs at the bottom, and also after a while it would hurt my coccyx. But Secret Lab, not so secret anymore.
I know.
They're good.
Secret Labs were partnered, like Team Secret, the gaming organization, were part of Secret Labs, etc. I was close to, I was on like the academy of that when I was a streamer. So yeah, that's how I recognized it.
Nice.
But yeah, it does hurt your back if you don't get a good seat like that. Like, I experienced it firsthand. It can get very painful.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people slate Secret Labs because they're very firm, and they're not like as ergonomic, say, as some Herman Millers. But yeah, I bought it was a second-hand Herman Miller Aeron just because I thought, well, it's worth spending the money on because I'm sitting 24/7 doing crypto stuff. But I wasn't really that impressed. I mean, the breathability is good, but personally, Secret Labs, my personal opinion. But yeah, thank you, very, very kind.
You certainly need a referral code. You sold that to me.
I'll get one. Yeah, no, that'd be good. I really want the desk, but it's like $1,000. So that's a couple of years' time maybe. But yeah, Travladd, Benson, fantastic to have you here. Benson, is there anything you'd like to bring up at all about anything? Yeah, before we go.
No, I just wanted to thank you both, Tom and Kyle. You've been fantastic hosts, and I had a great time, honestly. Hopefully excited to be back soon.
We'd love to have you back soon, and hopefully, if you're doing this event tomorrow, we'll see you there. I'll join all your socials. It might not be right away, but this evening, and I'll come in and say hello and follow your updates, and also, join any of your sort of, in quotation marks, metaverse events that you've got going, because I love that sort of thing. But thank you very much once again, and love to have you back on soon.
We appreciate your time, guys. We know you don't have to take your time out your day to do this, and obviously this isn't sponsored. Like, they literally just allow us to come on. So we look forward to working with BSC News in the future as well. Great guys, appreciate meeting you both today. Seem very genuine, and absolute pleasure, fellas.
Thank you. Speak soon, sir. Speak soon, sir. Have a great evening. That was a mixture of great evening and speak soon, sir. Anyway, cool. Speak soon.